As a child, Rosemary Fisher received nothing from her alcoholic father but abuse. When he died in a drunken driving accident, she didn't grieve. She only felt relief.
It was very sad to say that there weren't tears shed. There wasn't an explosion of, oh my goodness, you know, he's gone now. It was like, wow, no more beatings. It's over.
Despite the abuse she witnessed at home, Rosemary still longed for her father's love, which she now knew she would never receive.
It hit me the hardest when I saw his casket being lowered into the ground. You know, I'm 9 years old. Here, it was over. There was no ever of a chance of him holding me. There was no chance of him telling me that I'm beautiful and that he loves me and that he would fight for me.
Her home life changed drastically.
When my father died, my mother went completely 180. She was very excited now that she was free, and now there was no fear in the household at all. So we're talking a 9-year-old and my brother's 11 years old, and we had no authority. It was now party time. It was, you can stay up as late as you want, you can do whatever you want. So I started selling drugs in school, my grades dipped, didn't care anymore about my education. My mother, at this time I'm 14, my mother wants a friend, she takes me into the bars now. She's allowing me to drink with her. She's dancing with strange men. I'm around the atmosphere, I'm dancing with strange men.
At the age of 16, Rosemary returned home drunk at 3 a.m. 3 hours later, her brother woke her in a panic. He found their mother dead in the garage. She had committed suicide.
She was already in rigor mortis, and I just jumped on her trying to bring her back to life. And I kept crying out, don't leave me, don't leave me. Just please don't leave me. I didn't know what else to do. And the note said, you're capable of taking care of yourself, you're strong, you can just keep on. I know you'll be better off without me. And that was the worst day of my life. I was just in shock. I just left and I just walked around the neighborhood in my nightgown. Just like, you know, it's over. I can't believe this happened to me. How could this happen to me? How could she just leave me?
From that time on, Rosemary had to support herself, working in local bars and restaurants.
I was a wreck. I looked great on the outside and knew how to put on my makeup, wear my great clothes, go out and put on the front, but deep down I was that little tiny little girl that didn't know what real love was, and all I did was just medicate it. If I kept medicating it, then I was okay. And if somebody called me on it, I would say, well, you know, you drink too. If your father died and he beat your family in front of you and then your mother committed suicide.
Rosemary justified her behavior for 15 more years. A dear friend and business partner saw how desperate Rosemary was and encouraged her to get help.
She had tears just coming down her eyes. And she just said, if you don't quit living like this, you're gonna die. And I can't watch you die, so I'm gonna have to let you go. And I stopped. And because I respected her and loved her more than I loved myself, she caught my attention because it was sincere.
Christine began taking Rosemary to AA meetings. The stories she heard from others opened Rosemary's eyes to the devastating truth in her own life.
I realized that I was totally alone. I realized that I didn't have God in my life. I had no family members in my life, and that's when I broke. I lost it. That's when I got on my face and my knees, and I no longer wanted to live. I no longer wanted to breathe. I was done. And I cried out to God that night. And I said, if you're really there, I need you right now to show up, because I'm done. And I would start crying, and all I remember at that point was this warmth presence just coming all around me of peace and holding me like I never was held before in my life. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even ask any questions. All I know is that my cry out was sincere.
For 3 days, Rosemary wept.
I would just gush tears, just cleansing me from all the things, the drugs and the alcohol and the promiscuous sex and the junk that was all just layered and layered and layered and layered. And it still was a cleansing process after that.
Rosemary says she went looking for God.
I started going from church to church, just wanting to pray. But here I was sitting there and heard the message of the gospel and how he died for me and that I'm forgiven And I wanted it. I wanted it. Didn't know exactly what it all meant. All I heard was, he died for my sins. They're washed away. And he wants to give me a new life, and a life that's full of abundant and favor and blessings. And I wanted it. We said a prayer, and my whole life at that point became very hungry. So I started changing and started seeing life in a whole different perspective than ever before. I was taken out of the dark. Now I'm in the light, and I'm excited because everything looks alive.
Rosemary says her faith, family, and ministry have far surpassed what she ever thought possible.
I love God. I love Jesus Christ. Me and the Holy Spirit run together. I can't get enough of him. He is so amazing to me. I mess up all the time, but I'll tell you what, his loving, forgiving grace is just magnificent, and he's awesome, and he's coming back.